All right, Letty, welcome to Crossroads UMC. Everybody, this is my friend, Letty Damian, who is the director of the Resurrection Community Center. I was going to try it in Spanish, Letty. I'm sorry, but I didn't want to embarrass myself.
That's all right.
But I was
Hi,
invited.
everyone.
I wanted to invite Letty here to be part of our series, Facing Issues That Divide, and just talk to people about some of these issues, how we as people of faith can engage these issues. And I really felt like Letty had a story to tell, and our issue today is immigration in the United States. So not a light topic to be talking about. So I just want to invite Letty here to kind of tell us her story and her experience in the United States with immigration and our policies, and then we can talk a little bit about, where do we go from here? So Letty, I want to turn it over to you and just have us tell a little bit about yourself and your experience here.
Well, thanks again for inviting me, and I just really appreciate the opportunity just to share a little bit about my story and just kind of create a little bit of awareness of what's going on with somebody that just, So I wear a couple of hats. Well, first I'll say that, I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I work for the conference, the East Ohio Conference, with Young People's Ministry. I'm an administrative assistant there. I've been there for 2 years now. And before that, I was, I have served as a clergy for the East Ohio Conference. I've been pulpit supply since 2016, and then I've had a full appointment in 2018 at Chippewa Church at the Lake. So serving those folks there. And I'm still a seminary student. I'm on my 3rd year of seminary, pursuing the deacon track, again, to stay connected with the East Ohio Conference. So I juggle a lot of things, but I'm very passionate about ministry. I try to serve as much as possible in many areas of the ministry. So a lot of what I do has shaped, or the call has shaped me into what God is leading, what's post-graduation, what's in my future within the ministry, and what's my call to serve in the communities. But recently with all these changes, and since we're going to be talking about immigration issues, I want to talk a little bit about my story. I'm a U.S. born. I'm a U.S. citizen of the States. My parents immigrated in the 80s, and so I'm fortunate enough to be an American, proud to be an American. My parents did apply and seek residency here in the States, and so they are documented. However, I met my husband, who at the time that he entered the country was undocumented. So he did not enter lawfully into the country at the age of 17. He was a minor. He left his country, Mexico, because of the poverty, because of the violence that was going on in his area at that time. So he came here to the States on his own. He didn't have his parents with him. And he was seeking asylum, seeking refuge. So he went about it, some would say the wrong way, or, the right way. There's diversity in that response. But he did apply and, seek refuge once he did enter. And, it's been we've been married for 15 years now. And out of those 15 years, about 16 of those or so, he's been, through the process, through the paperwork of immigration. And when I met him, of course, he already had entered, so that was already something on his record. We did, I did apply for him as a U.S. citizen for him to become a resident of this country. And we've been in the process ever since. Unfortunately, there's been some changes in our policies and our law with this administration. And because of a policy that took place in 2018, the zero tolerance policy, our application that would be reviewed every year in hopes for a law or a legal path for him, we weren't able to renew that anymore. we weren't able to continue with the process. And he was banned from the States. It's a 10-year ban. So, in order to avoid a deportation or to avoid having him detained or incarcerated even at a detention center, we took it upon ourselves, and made the decision that we would abide with the law and try to amend, what he done as a minor, as a child, really. And so we made the decision that it'd be best for our family that he leave the States voluntarily, go about the process in the way they asked us to. It's not the best option, but it is the law, and I know that. I don't think that it's a fair law or that it's a just law, especially for someone that's grown up here and who has a family here, who's married to an American citizen. But, that's the reality of it. These are issues that we face today in our time, and it happens to, somebody that serves your community. I serve the community. I serve the congregations for the East Ohio Conference in many capacities, and it's real. It's not just a story that you hear on the news, something that's going on social media. It's real, and it breaks families. It really does separate and divide healthy, stable families. And now our life is completely turned upside down. I don't know if you have any particular questions to ask me regarding our situation, but it's been really tough. And so I can't fathom the idea of being away from my husband for 10 years. That's the whole teenage life of our kids that, will be missed out. And so there's changes that we have to take upon ourselves, whether I go live in Mexico. And for now, I've been back and forth, but like I've said, I'm still in seminary. I work for the conference. I mean, there's things that I don't want to let go because I'm still pursuing as well. For the time being, we've had a split family. And so as of December last year, he's been living in Mexico again.
And I think most people, when they hear a story like that, and thank you for sharing. Thank you for, it becomes real. They hear your story, Letty, and at the same time, how have your kids been doing? How do they kind of perceive what's going on with these changes in public policy, and how has this changed sort of the dynamic in your family, and what's been your experience these past few months?
No, it's really, it's sad and it's unfortunate. I mean, it's hard to put into words because, and I'll do the best that I can, but I had healthy children, active in school, theater, sports, and just really engaged, happy, with surrounded by friends, and just this has shifted our entire life. It's just something that the experience is so difficult because my eldest son, he's 17, and he's struggled throughout this with depression. He's attempted to take his life. That alone, having to deal with that and not having both parents, not having that support system that I need as well as a wife, as a mother. It's tough. And my daughter, our middle child, she's going to be moving to Mexico after her first quarter of school this fall, because we have the remote learning. So she's decided she wants to be with dad. She can't be away from dad for so long. So it's really hard because supporting two families with only one provider now. I could mention in how many ways this has changed our life. We're no longer stable. We're in financial crisis now, needing, therapy to help us through this because, it takes a toll on you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's because of my faith. It's because that I'm spiritually grounded, that I'm able to, continue with this, knowing and trusting God that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's, I'm going to get through this. We're going to get through this as a family. And because of that deep faith, I'm able to continue, navigating through this. And it's a crisis that, I mean, it's what is really going on here in our life. It's not just something that you hear in the news, and I can't emphasize that enough. This is real. I'm a rural person. You can go see me at the East Ohio Conference. I'm there. This is something that we need some sort of justice, some change to our policies, because it has to be done as a whole. Our Christian community must come together and act in compassionate ways. What does Scripture tell us about welcoming foreigners? What does it tell us about acts of compassion and just being there for each other, rather than accepting each other and welcoming each other, rather than closing the doors or putting barriers that prevent people that are different from you to not be your brothers and sisters. And then it's really unfortunate.
I'm reminded of the story in this upcoming Sunday's readings, right? We transitioned from the end of Genesis, where Jacob and the land of Israel, they had to go settle right in Egypt because there was no food, there was a famine and all that stuff, and they were accepted. And Joseph kind of rises to power within the country of Egypt. And then right at the beginning of Exodus, it begins with, and Pharaoh didn't know the person of Joseph and all that they had done for the country, and then just became afraid of the Hebrew people. And then we learned of the oppression and everything that begins to happen with them there. And our country, certainly has had a history of ups and downs, of not necessarily living up to the ideals that we all espouse to as Americans, what we hold dear. And like you said, just as Christians, right? The story of immigration in the Bible, God's compassion for people. But speaking of compassion, you, as we introduce you, are the director of, okay, I'm going to try it, Centro Comunitario La Resurrección. How'd I do? Not bad? Okay.
Yeah.
Director of the Resurrection Community Center in Campeche in Mexico. And what's some of the stuff you're doing down there?
Yeah, so the idea, once we knew that my husband would be leaving the States and he would be going abroad, I mean, we thought, okay, so how can we, turn this into a positive, our negative into a positive, and how can we continue to, share our story and demonstrate Christ's love through acts of kindness, compassion, and, how can we go about helping the community there in Mexico? So in this small town where he's from, in Campeche, they were, because I went to visit the area along with him, and they have a small chapel, but it's about a shed. It looks like a shed. It is a shed. And that's where they have their worship services. There's about 25 people that go, but it's just, I mean, it's amazing because, it's a very small building or structure, and, they have to keep the doors open, and there's people outside in order to be part of the worship experience. And so, I mean, I just saw so much potential. I mean, there's so much love, and they're ready to serve their community. They just, need the resources, and they needed a bigger facility. So we started a construction site, a new building for them there. We found somebody to donate some property, and, found contributions to begin building. And right now we're in the process of getting the roof done. And so it's been really great to see so many hands and just so many people coming together to support this community. I mean, just giving free Bibles in Spanish, by the way. Make sure if you send any, they're in Spanish. And just donations that have come in to help. But recently what we've done, especially right now with COVID, we've been creating just hygiene kits that have been passed out to the community, just, hand sanitizer, face masks, just essential first aid kit stuff, just even pain medication, just something to help them, because I mean, there's been people that have, they don't have medical coverage, that's sick. We make sure that they're provided with some, at least, medical, something to help with their breathing, their treatment. So yeah, it's been pretty neat to be able to help that community. And they recently had a storm as well. Again, a lot of people lost with the flooding that happened. They lost a lot of their personal items, and so we just provided food and clothing and just water. So I mean, it's been great. We do have a website, which I'll share with you, and you could share with other folks. On there, you have my husband's story is on there as well, why we've started this nonprofit. And there's ways that you can contribute there. And I'm not just talking financial ways. There's also ways that you can prepare kits to send over there. We're hoping to have teams visit soon. I know that we're in a situation right now, so maybe by next summer we'll be ready to have people over. But yeah, there's information on there, the guidelines, and all the forms you need to sign and whatnot. But it's pretty neat to just the images will show ways that we've helped that community there, and it's been wonderful because I'm just so excited to have that building ready, because they're finally all going to be able to just be in a worship space together. Hopefully after all this as well. I know that they can't do it at the time being because the 6 feet apart. But yeah, and it's just been really great to get involved and get to know a little bit about my culture and the community there. It's life-changing. It really is. So I'd be glad to have you all come over at some point and get a little bit more familiar with what we're doing. But yeah, it's great.
Absolutely wonderful. I thank you both for telling your story and being the hands and feet of Jesus. And Letty, I really mean that. And to do that in spite of our circumstances and all the hardship that you and your family have gone through, right? That many of us cannot relate to or comprehend that kind of hardship, because we have the privilege of living in this country without fear. Many of us do, and of having our families broken up and splitting apart. But I'm really thankful for people like you, Letty, who are willing to share your story and willing to be the hands and feet of Jesus in spite of all these things. I don't know how you do it, but I'm glad you have a strong faith. And I didn't tell you I was going to ask you to do this, but I was wondering if would you give us this benediction in Spanish, or do you have one kind of off the top of your head that you can do, or pray us out in Spanish for us?
I could pray out.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Señor, te damos gracias por este día, por la habilidad de poder reunirnos aquí con el pastor Don y con su congregación, por las maneras que tú nos ayudas, que nos bendices. Te damos gracias porque esta obra va a seguir adelante, esta iglesia va a seguir adelante. Confiamos en ti, tú eres grande y poderoso y tú nos vas a ayudar a poder seguir tu camino y ser más como tú. God, we just thank you in your precious name for this time that we're able to gather together and just share about my life and just in ways that you have shaped me. And we thank Pastor Don and just his congregation for having open hearts and open minds and just listening to a story of somebody for a child of yours that we are all your children. And we thank you for ways that you have just opened doors and welcomed everyone and just given the opportunity to have these conversations. I ask you that you bless the community center in Mexico, that you continue to bless the congregation here in Canton, and just continue to use us for your ministry and what you have called us to do. We are very grateful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thanks. God bless. Stay healthy.
Thanks again so much for having me. And if anybody else would like to know more, just let Pastor Don know, and he'll have my contact information and the website information as well. Thank you again. It's such a blessing.